All right, guys, welcome to the wonderful world of 3D design using Tinkercad. All right, once you navigate yourself to tinkercad.com, it will ask you to log in. And once you get logged in, you will see this screen right here. Now, I have a bunch of projects on here already. It's nice because it all automatically saves any of the work that you do. But for today, I'm going to click Create New Design and show you around some of the basics of the program. You'll have to give it a second to load up the editor, and then it'll give us a nice view of all the tools and shapes and things that we can use. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to cover is how to look around, because it's very difficult when you have a flat two-dimensional surface of a screen and you're trying to create three-dimensional things in there. So first, let me just I'm just going to drag a cube from my basic shapes menu over on the right into the center here. And there it is. And now we want to look around it. Now, whenever I'm using this program, I highly recommend using a computer mouse because it just makes your life so much easier. The touchscreen commands look like they work pretty good when I see people using them, but the mouse is just much better in my opinion. Now, here's our box. It is three-dimensional, but right now we're only seeing two sides of it. So to look around, we can either use this cube in the top, and you can just left-click and drag that to look at it from different angles. Or my preferred method is just use the right-click on the mouse, hold that down, click and drag with the right mouse button, and you can look around like this. Okay, you'll be able to see underneath it, above, below, to the side. If we want to zoom in, we just need to use the mouse wheel. Okay, or you can use the plus and minus keys over here. All right, but if we want to move to the side rather than rotating, this is zooming back and forth with the mouse wheel. This is rotating with the mouse. We need to pan or move sideways, and in order to do that, you need to hold down the Shift key while you are right-clicking and dragging. Now, instead of rotating it around, we're just moving it from one side to the other. Okay? So using the mouse, right-click and drag to rotate, using the mouse wheel to zoom in and out, and using the mouse and holding the Shift key, right-click and drag to move things or pan things around your screen. All right? And that's the basics of how to look around so you can get the different angles so you can tell if things are lining up and things like that. Okay? After that, let's talk about how to change the shapes that you are given. You'll notice that when this box is selected by just clicking on it, we have a whole bunch of boxes and different symbols that show up. Okay? Just like when you're resizing an image on the internet, you can grab any of these boxes and drag them where you want them. If you grab the corner, you can affect the width and the height at the same time. If you're grabbing one of these smaller ones, the black ones here, you're only going to be able to affect the width at one time. This box at the top here, will allow you to move it and resize it up and down. And the nice thing about this dot is that if you're rotated underneath your shape, that dot will show up on the bottom, and you can make it bigger that way as well. And this little triangle at the top will allow us to move it up into space and lift it off of our plane down here. And sometimes you need your shapes to be higher than other shapes. All right, the last thing you can do is rotate it. And that's what these little curvy arrows are here, and if I go from the above view, there's one down here. And you can easily rotate by clicking and dragging your shape, and it will snap depending on where your mouse is when you're dragging. You can snap to 45 degrees if you want, or if you move your mouse further out, you can take it to any angle that you would like. Okay? That's how to adjust and change the shapes that you are given. You can resize, you can rotate, you can make them larger up or down, and you can bring them above or below the working plane if you need to. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about combining shapes together, and this is when it gets really fun and a little bit more complex. This is where you can make more complicated shapes that you might actually use or 3D print or something like that. So I'm going to get rid of this by just clicking on it and then tapping the backspace key on my keyboard. And then let's get a couple of shapes to put together here. All right. Got a square, cube rather, a cylinder, and let's grab this sphere. All right, now all these things we can still edit and change as much as we want, but let's say we would like to put two of these things together. Let's say we want our cylinder to have a rounded top to it. So I'm going to position my sphere in my cylinder and then bring it up so that it's at the top. All right, now that looks pretty good. You can tell they're separate though because they're separate colors right now. If we want to make this a single shape and make it one, what you need to do is you need to select both objects. And the way that you do that, scooch this up just a little more right there. The way you do that, the easiest way is just to click and drag a nice little box around it, and then you'll have both of them selected. Okay, or you can click on one. This is left click, regular click, mind you, and then hold the shift key down and click on the one you would like to add. This also works for taking pieces off. If I have two of these selected and I don't want this blue shape selected, I can click on that, and now I only have the orange cylinder selected. All right, but if we want to put these two together, I got to select both of them. All right, and then I'm going to come up here to this tool right here that looks like a circle and a square put together. This is the group tool, and when you click it, it'll take just a moment, and now instead of having two shapes, we have a single shape. If I click on it and move it, those things aren't coming apart, and now we have a new shape. Almost looks like a silo or something like that. All right. If you ever put things together and need to take them apart again, it's very simple. You can see just by clicking on this, it's selected, and the ungroup button is right here. If I click that, it will take it right apart, and now I have two separate pieces. Okay? But what if you don't want to add things together? What if you need to take a piece out from another piece? All right, let's say we want to turn this cylinder into like a Pac-Man shape from the top. All right, I'm going to use my square here, but I'm going to use it instead of a solid shape, which is right here. You might see it like this. You can see that it's solid. We can change it after we select it by clicking on it into a hole. And now you can see it's all grayed out and you can see through it. You can still move it. You can still change its size and everything like that we learned before. But I'm going to position it here on my cylinder. I'm going to, again, select both of them, and I'm going to group them together. And you'll see that that whole shape of the square is now cut out of my cylinder shape. And now I have a more complex shape that I can add to, or I can subtract more from. I could turn this cylinder into a hole, drag it over here, and add that, group that in. And now I have a shape that's made up of three shapes, one solid and two holes. And the nice thing about this is that if you ungroup it, it does it one step at a time. So there, I ungrouped it once. I've got my cylinder out. I can click on it again, ungroup it again, and now I have the square out too. So you can always go back if you're putting things together, which is super nice. Okay, those are the basic tools for navigating Tinkercad. There's one more thing that I love to use that I want to show you that I find very, very useful, and that is the alignment tool. All right, let's say we were building a castle, and I want a nice castle tower here. So I'm going to make a point for my tower, and I want to put this on top. I'm going to grab this, bring it up. All right, but like I said at the very beginning of the video, it can be very hard to see what you're doing in a 3D space with a two-dimensional screen. So it is difficult to get this, see, I can't get this lined up and centered on top of my cylinder like I want it. But they thought of that for this program, which is nice. All you have to do is select the things you want to line up and then click on this. This is the alignment tool right here. Okay, that gives you all these dots. Okay, so you can align in a lot of different ways. The ways that I use the most are the center dots here and sometimes here. And you can see that when I mouse over them, it gives us a little preview of what it's going to look like. You can see things shifting around a bit. But when I click on this one here on the left, it's going to center it forward and back with each other. All right, and when I click on this one here, it's going to center them left and right with each other. And after I do that, I have a perfectly centered point on my tower. And because they're already both selected, I can just click the group button, and that's one perfectly aligned, lined up shape. Okay, so that's just a little extra advanced step for you. If you just want to use it, you're absolutely welcome to. But I hope this was helpful, and I hope you can build the things that you like to build with the program. Good luck.